Hi, everyone. Welcome to our George Brown College's Analytics Club Speaker Series. My name is Dr. Robin Yap. I'm a faculty advisor for our club, and we would like to welcome Arundati Dandapani, who is our guest today. A little bit about Arundati. She is an entrepreneurial chief editor of Canada's Marketing Research and Intelligence Association, driving value, visibility, and growth across sectors and teams, advising nonprofits, individuals, or businesses on their insights, objectives with data storytelling, publications, events, outreach, and association. She also founded Generation1.ca, check that out, to curate the narratives of Canada's newcomers, to connect them with brands and industry, and vice versa, and has spent over 2 decades in publishing and the last 6 years in research. Welcome, Arundati.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yap. So thank you so much again for having me. It's an honor to speak to you all. My name is Arundati. I'm Chief Editor at Market Research and Intelligence Association, founder of Generation1.ca, and I'm proud to speak to you about data literacy in the age of analytics. Technology has always been very important to me since the age of 8. I mean, when I first wanted to build a robot computer using rusted iron bucket handles, it ended up being just a cradle for the local stray dogs with twigs and leaves, but what I did realize was. What I did realize over years that the role of tech was so important to intellectual development and how it was shaping the economy, particularly where a lot of the younger generation were becoming digital natives and were glued to their mobiles. I'm gonna. Okay, so you're on. On smart technology. So I'm going to go through smart technology, AI, passive behavior, and storytelling. And these are the key elements that I found when I've tried to navigate my role in marketing research and data science and create new roads to industry and engage and foster thought leadership. So when we talk about what people want to you can hear me. Thank you. I was talking about, so I'm going to talk about how technology, AI, passive behavior, and insight storytelling power data literacy to drive informed decision-making every day. And technology-enabled research methods exist only because, so technology-enabled research, it refers to research methods that are there only because technology is able to implement those, whether this is online analytics, augmented digital electronic retail audits, consumer household panels, location services, passive metering, online communities or ethnographies. The list is big, and it's a list of emerging new methods, if you will. And we notice a lot of such players in Canada, especially in the smaller tech startups and the tech clusters, especially the ones in Toronto and in programs that like yours as well. But this talk will re-examine the role of the market research professional at the intersection of analytics and traditional market research to offer a peek into the lives of our industry professionals today and tomorrow. And I'll use a mix of experience, story, and reports, as you'll see. So what is the new economy? The definition differs based on your demographics, psychographics, life stage. It could you probably move to a new country. It's the new economy you're adjusting to, perhaps, or acculturating to. Market research, but no matter what your definition of it is digital transformation has been happening constantly, no matter which category you're falling into, and the pandemic has only compounded the effects of this, and it's accelerated digital transformation, as we all have witnessed and experienced. So market research, if you look at these four sections of new age economy, traditional service economy, investment economy, and old economy, it falls more in the traditional service economy. Because it's not capital intensive, it relies heavily on human intelligence and skill, and that's where, as you go, you move to the right, move on the right of the axis, you get into data science, which is more the capital intensive side, and it's more information communications, finance, real estate, because but the marketing research side is more close to management consulting, which is on the still on the traditional service economy, slightly edging towards the new age, where new age economy is comprising those professionals that pride themselves in the knowledge economy and have niche skills that are and the creativity that's needed to thrive in recessions like this one. So that's what the new economy is like, and the Canadian market research has been the global insights industry is just under $90 billion, but the market size of the insights industry in Canada, and as of 2020, is $823 million, or Canadian, so that's US $616 million. We've seen a growth of 2.3% in the past 5 years, but it's certainly lower in value than in 2010. That's about a decade ago, when we were at $924 million Canadian, or $691 million US. And this is according to estimates by the IBIS World Report in Canada. Now, while the IBIS reports project a steady growth story in the past, at least the past couple of years, 2018 to 2019 and 2019 to 2020, there might be other reports. There might be differences with, say, the ESOMAR's Global 2020 report, because which projects a negative growth in the past couple of years, because the definition of marketing research services differs, and the Canadian estimate relies on the NAICS classifications. So marketing research as a definition includes services specific to this geography that might not be comparable with other geographies, but still the range is not too far off. It's just the projection. And the market size of the market research industry in Canada has increased faster than the professional, scientific, technical and technical and standard research. And the heads up. So yes, it comprises marketing research services, both traditional and non-traditional, but based on the NAICS industry classifications. So sorry. Now I go. Yeah, the barriers to competition are high. The barriers to entry are low. I mean, competition is high. Concentration is low. It's a mature industry with low industry assistance. That's where some problems can be seen. But it's good that it's light on regulation and policy. It's a self-regulated industry. The rate of change in technology is medium. And when you go to the cities like the clusters like Toronto, you can see more of it. And as I mentioned before, capital intensity is low, so it's still reliant on a lot of human labor, human knowledge, and human skill, even though there are a lot of fears and concerns about automation every day gripping our industry's researchers. So if you look at the forecast for the revenue forecast for the years ahead, it looks like a good story, but globally, North America has led market research turnover, and this is largely driven by the US. So it's North America followed by Europe, followed by Asia Pacific. And the last 2 years, 2018 to 2019, saw the highest global growth in the past 5 years. So that's I think times have been good for market research, and again boosted globally by the rising importance of tech-enabled services. This brings us to where are the opportunity areas, and when we look at the US, which is a market we try to mimic, or at least a lot of Canadian firms, clientele and clients exist in the US, and all of their business is also out there. Audience measurement remains the top share of revenue gets the top share of revenue at 23%, followed by data, text, and predictive analytics, 18%, and then information technology. I think this is giving us a glimpse of into the future how we're being more tech-enabled and tech-empowered. But audience measurement is interesting, and because the industry where the client industries that we serve the most are media, advertising, entertainment. So it's no surprise that a lot of our audience measurement services are bringing us the top revenue. In other client industries that we find success in are healthcare products, consumer durables, non-durables, and governments and associations. So that puts nonprofits like us, the Market Research and Intelligence Association, in a very in an interesting spot of opportunity where people are still they rely on their association for research services, intelligence services, community engagement, and advocacy. Now, we hear a lot about these two streams of professionals, the marketing research and then data science. A lot of different colleges and institutions have named their programs differently and keep innovating and changing to keep up with the times, sometimes from a public opinion research to business intelligence to competitive intelligence. Our industry is so multifaceted and so complex, and it's as long as it's able to keep up with the technological shifts, understanding right now the two main streams of professionals seem to fall into the market research and the data science categories. So I think a lot of people studying these programs, we do try to fit ourselves into one of these two buckets, and market research is traditionally seen as more detailed, traditional legacy research, whereas data science involving a lot of big data, market research being more low capital intensive and a lot of people, human resources, and data science industry is more a lot of machines, inventory, technology, a lot of high capital intensive. Labor and human skill being more in the market research and intelligence industry, the data science being more geared towards automation and scaling insights. Rigor, depth, and granularity is perceived to be something that is core to the marketing research profession, and it relies a lot on human labor. So versus the chaotic experiments of say in data science, you have so much big data, a lot of this is mechanized, a lot of deep learning is happening, a lot of correlations are happening. There may not be causations, but there's a lot of correlations happening at the same time. So taking out the noise, you need a lot of talented data scientists, but it's a lot of machine activity happening out there, and a lot of more human-computer interaction and work with algorithms. We're in tech-enabled services. Yeah, so we've seen the difference between data science and market research, and how technology is really driving the future growth of market research. Globally, in fact, technology-enabled market research has beaten legacy market research, and that's due to a lot of the Asia-Pacific countries. But I think, and it's also been responsible in large part for the growth in the U.S. That's happening. So $47 billion is what is the tech-enabled sector, but MR sector, but the traditional established research sector is $43 billion in the past year. Also, analytics and beyond is what is helping this be a tech-enabled industry, and that's where the data science aspect comes in. We're talking about analytics, online communities, web scraping, passive metering, and other ways of collecting behaviors of consumer behaviors. AI, IoT, 5G, and blockchain are other new or other mediums that a lot of market research companies have been going. They've developed AI strategies, or they've implemented a lot of these functionalities within their dashboards, within their traditional market research function, in order to keep up with their consumers' demands. Sometimes AI is better at scaling insights quickly than for certain projects than traditional research. So depending on the scope requirements and the project scope, companies have to keep evaluating their technologies. Blockchain. I talk a little bit about here, because I noticed you have a very promising program on blockchain as well, and I think the wonders of the blockchain are still very elusive to many of us. And even having worked with these technologies, it's not often something that it seems like something that's going to get adoption only after a longer period of time, after people have been using it for a while, are comfortable understanding it. From a user experience perspective, you have apps, and you have. I worked in a study, a women's cannabis study, where we tracked the consumption and occasions of women's cannabis for their, or track the consumption and occasions of women consuming cannabis for their health and wellness reasons, and to understand what. To make inferences about their the use and effects of the different products, and these products were just new products that had come out fresh at the freshly when cannabis 2.0 had just been legalized, or when the new formats had just entered the market, meaning new formats, meaning formats that were not flour, formats that were edibles, beverages, topicals. A lot of that took a long time to come to shelf, but still there were two or three brands which stood out in the minds of consumers, because they had been working on their product cycle in such a way much ahead of the others, and therefore their products were available before others. So they were interested in being a part of the study, and I think there's a lot of the fact that it was being tracked on the blockchain. People were answering surveys on the blockchain about this. They felt a sense of safety, they felt a sense of fair compensation, and they felt a sense of being in a tech-powered environment that was on demand and to their convenience. It was efficient. Two months ago, one of my research contributors, bloggers, she also a researcher in market research. She wrote a blog post on esports. We work a lot with Vividata's different studies, and from their esports studies have talked about had a lot of interesting data, and she wrote a piece about the lack of women in esports, or the challenges they still face, and we decided to launch this as a small blog book. I thought that to venture on the blockchain, I found that there was this company in Montreal which they were just experimenting with the tech space. They'd been experimenting for a long while, and they'd launched a publishing house that would launch ebooks on the blockchain, to offer a more secure reading experience. But not just that, during the pandemic, they found that a lot of their sales had risen, and it had exceeded those of other books that were not selling on the blockchain, so typical Amazon books. So we thought that this would be a good, it would be an interesting project, and so we launched the book. I mean, it's still not, it remains to be. So I talked about Vividata. They have this. Not only do they have this syndicated study, but they also, the traditional syndicated study and research. They also they have the largest. So they have the largest cannabis consumer study, and then they have this the Canadian consumer, which has over 60,000 variables, but it's not just, and you can cross all their cannabis consumers' habits with all the different media and non-media, like grocery shopping or technology and other habits. But digital passive metering is more about capturing consumers' behaviors in apps, or on websites, or when they're online shopping, or they're streaming, and what they're doing online. It's passively capturing all this data, and it's adding to the list of tech empowered services, and this is very much in line with how budgets are moving and how revenues are moving. So next slide. This, for example, was streaming video on demand services, which had peaked during media consumption itself had soared during the pandemic, but this is through the different months they were tracking using passive metering behaviors to understand where consumers were, how they were streaming videos on demand. Media, entertainment, and technology remain market research sector's biggest buyers, as we saw. Back early in the summer, I also released a book about AI. It was my work with AI and chatbots, and I think the reason I mentioned this is it's interesting that so before I move into I just want to say one more thing, that the market research industry in Canada, it like we saw it, it has medium level of tech change, but I think the PPM maybe some of you are used to, which is more about how you consume media, and I think Nielsen was one of the was the one that Nielsen Audio was the one that started that. It helped you understand how people were consuming media passively, just recording their behaviors, and helped you inform programming decisions about what content to create and what to air. So media consumption won't go down anytime soon, and these and I think the one trend that this is the online recruitment of consumers is also increasing. So so I think one thing that's helping this industry is when companies are gamifying their surveys to optimize the interactions. And this brings me to chatbots, because chatbots are an extremely can be an effective way to gamify your surveys and create a very engaging respondent experience, and that scores low on respondent burden. So the respondent feels like they're playing a game, or they're it's a mix of personal, but also it's like a riddle, and some people it has a little bit of fiction involved, and it's also it's increasing engagement, and it's also using accurate insights, and it has numerous applications. I mean, you could say not for mobile only populations. I discuss in this book the essential role of language and survey research, how using a chatbot, how using really engaging language when designing a survey that understood people's cultural behavior required a lot of understanding into some elements of gamification and the respondent experience, and what words to use, what stories to resonate with them. So so this was a chatbot for to product launch audiobooks on the website, but you see this now. It's very common now. You see it on many guest experience surveys. You see all kinds of, but it also has applications for seniors, Gen Z, and for people in I said BRIC countries before, but countries where there's a high mobile adoption. So the young people, or the Gen Z, they find it popular, engaging, because they're mobile first digital natives. The BRIC countries, again, high adoption of mobile, and I've discussed more reasons why. And then the last is the yes, okay, sorry. Okay, this is back. So the three, I think that the three particular applications I discussed are with seniors for therapeutic causes, a gamified experiences, gamified chatbots, sometimes Gen Z for their digital fluency, and they're being digital natives, and then the BRIC countries, but other countries where there are mobile first populations, and people are just comfortable answering surveys on mobiles and with chatbots. So this was an interesting exercise in language and understanding the kind of how medium and new mediums like chatbot mediums and technology-powered mediums influence the surveys you design. So I mean, this is the big question. Everyone is who entered this industry. I joined this industry 6 years ago, and people have been here for longer, for decades, and have been wondering, have been following this. Yes, there's. Okay, you can hear me still. Thank you. So. So on average, for every $1 spent on labor, the industry operators spend an estimated 0.06 cents on that's $0.06 or 6 cents on capital investments. So the skills typically that succeed in this sector are project management, tech agility, range of services, information-based services, again dependent on client, and speed and quality are the top factors here. A suggestion or a thread seems to be going by the trends that you build ongoing work streams, especially with ad agencies. A lot of ad agencies invest in research and consumer goods manufacturing firms. I think this is just going by where all the revenues are coming in from, and all the client sectors that really feel a need for research, the most need for research. But it's not just these sectors, as we saw. There's a long list there. Another, in finding your niche in market research, and with this market research and data science, and I mean, we've talked about the need for cross-disciplinary people and interskilled people and culturally competent people and agile people and creative people, and it seems like there is a niche for, or rather an opportunity for when you make insights visible, or you communicate findings and how it connects with news and larger society. And this is using a mix of journalism, research, public and media relations, and creating data stories that that clients value on platforms that matter to them, but also as depending on every nonprofit or every business functions differently. So on media is seen and perceived differently by different research houses. So so this is something that is an interesting area to tap into when it pertains to data science and market research, only because it is storytelling actually unifies the two streams of research, and storytellers who are able to access both the data science and the market research insights are able to tell a more holistic and a more a better story, perhaps. Now, I think there was one more thing I wanted to say about the two streams. I'll come back to that in another slide. So every researcher has to, how do they know that they're within the scope of their project? Yes, they have communication. They communicate with their teams and their clients and colleagues. But we're a self-regulated industry, so making sure that we're in compliance with standards and best practices really is good for our own profiles, and is good for making sure that we are that the work that we do is upholding the integrity of our professionalism and upholding the integrity of the industry, and that we're acting in the best interests of our industry. And I think when we articles 1 to 16 of the Charter of Respondent Rights detail. I'll go into a bit more about the code around ownership, transparency, respondent experience, self-regulation, maintaining high data integrity, other reporting standards, what the client-researcher relationship and obligations should look like, how to disseminate findings, privacy issues and legislation, how you research special populations, and how do you issue and deal with complaints and violations. So this is an extensive document. I mean, every association. Okay, so I was saying that every researcher, they abide by the standards and best practices of their profession to stay at the top, to be competitive, and to keep their reputation and to keep the integrity of the industry intact and their work intact. So there were articles 1 to 16 talk about transparency, regulation, privacy, how do you report, the standards for reporting, client-researcher relationships, how do you disseminate findings, the privacy considerations you need to keep in mind, how do you research special populations, and also how you deal with complaints and violations. Along with this, we also, before 2018, just and this was before legalization of cannabis, that is adult use cannabis, we always had we had a medical program before that. It's been a decade. So the the research, the MIO had begun thinking about creating cannabis research standards, but it was only later when I joined back in October last year that I was working actively with the Vividitas Cannabis Survey and numerous other cannabis professionals and research organizations and associations to grow the thought leadership and foster discussions around events, create articles around this, and it's a fast-moving industry. So the standards are evolving, but these discussions only grow or help set parameters and help us understand what we should do when we're doing research in this space. Where data literacy is perceived to be minimal or is not there, or even data is perceived to be minimal. So this is an ongoing body of work. I don't know if my screen is showing clearly here. It's showing a little too dark here, but this has been to encapsulate my top learnings from the decade in market research, and it's been that quantitative research methods, they no more breed in isolation. Yes, they contribute to the most amount of money, or the most expenditures happening in this. 70% of or close to 80% of global market research is being spent on in the quantitative space, and qualitative is somewhere, I think, in the range of 15%. But qualitative has come of age, and it has manifested as quali-quant, and or that's a mix of qualitative and quantitative. Then AI-powered qual, agile qual, text mining analysis, and I think where government is more embracing of these of text mining analysis and AI in their programs, and we're seeing more of that. More change is due to happen, and more breakthroughs are bound to take place. And online qualitative has already been in their work. Mixed methods have arrived as new technologies now are able to capture latent habits and behaviors and give us a richer pool of data. We saw passive metering, that some of the work that NVIDIA is doing, another thing, and then the privacy concerns. Yes, they have peaked post the age of personalized everything, but keeping a track of the legislation and where it's going, I think, and making updates to our projects, because I mean, with the Internet of Things, the Privacy Commission of Canada, they constantly release new standards. So and surveys about Canadians' perceptions about attitudes to privacy-related matters. So being aware of that is especially in these fast growing technologies like IoT, blockchain, 5G, it really helps researchers understand how to design a more a better respondent experience. And then social consciousness and ethics. Now, this has been a part of the major discussions, not just in fast-growing industries like cannabis and the technology industry that are actually setting the model, it seems, but also in other traditional industries. And I think that the pandemic has played a part in it might sound cliche, but it's something that's equity is something that's increasingly being talked about at conferences and in industry. So those are all great indicators of a very inclusive and opportunity-rich industry. So market research. Now, not only are we united by a series of amber alerts during lockdown. I don't know if this it's probably only the only reality we share now in post-COVID, and this is the challenge that established teams are dealing with every day, and one that agile teams or single operators or agents or entrepreneurs. I think this keeps happening. So I was saying that. Market research, not only are we united by a series of amber alerts during lockdown, and it's probably the only reality we share, this is a challenge that established teams are dealing with every day, and one that agile teams, single operators, entrepreneurs, or agents are are seemingly better positioned to deal with. Uh, but this is the age also when creativity, collaboration, design thinking must shine, and this is where when you mix market research and data science to get new opportunities, it's more it's the creativity, the design thinking, the other talents that you bring to this sector is what defines the new niche that you own. The two disciplines don't always have to coexist in a research framework, but that doesn't mean that they are always in isolation either. So they both offer different lenses through which to examine a problem. And depending on your business framework, we use them when they help answer our business questions. And if they don't belong in the framework, they needn't be there. Data integration just creates a richer data pool, but it's not always the answer to every client's need. So so that's another perspective. And lastly, I think good leadership demands that we really listen carefully and evaluate all data points, big data, small data, and attribution models to creatively identify the areas of opportunity and gaps as we align on issues of importance, because they quickly evolve, or as they quickly evolve. So so yes, and with respect, I think I mentioned a little bit about the privacy aspect. I just wanted to say that the survey results for that and Canadians' attitudes towards privacy in terms of people is up on the Privacy Commission of Canada website. So I mean, its attitude towards privacy not just in the workplace at home, but with using these devices. So I think those are a good directive in helping us understand how we work with these technologies in our research business. So the age of analytics and data literacy is totally possible in the age of analytics, and it's a very empowering journey, and it's full of creativity and our talents and what we bring to the table, and I think it is an exciting time ahead when you combine both these sectors together to build a more prosperous industry forward and a better growth story. So that's I mean, we're still navigating our way, and then there's always opportunities to discuss more about this, debate more about this, and especially the smaller topics within these sectors, but always ready to and excited to chat about good and effective data storytelling that really drives a lot of my creative impetus and involvement in this industry, and I'm very thankful that you all listened to me, and excited that we chatted about this today. In upcoming, I just wanted to talk about, this is Business Recovery Talks. This is just another event that we're planning back at the MRIA next in October, but it's just one of several others. If you've been following events that we've been doing, I've been running them since this past year. We've run 6 so far, but there's more, and more virtual events as well on schedule, and programming, and interested and engaged members to join us as we launch new products and new pathways to industry. So so let's connect, converse, and collaborate, and I would very much value any feedback, questions, or any comments you have, and would love to learn more about how we can help you, and how we can help each other, and how we can improve data literacy and empower our narratives, and succeed in the profession as all the resources you need to groom tomorrow's professionals. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Arundati. And we want to thank everyone for joining us in this session. And again, that's what Arundati has said. If you have any questions for her, you can always email her or send a question on our LinkedIn page, and I'm sure we will be able to get back to you on that one. And I think with that, thanks everyone for joining us. Sorry for the technology issues. Sometimes these things happen, unfortunately. But we will see you at our next session. Thanks, everyone. Have a good rest of your evening. Thanks, Arundati.
Firstly, thank you so much, Dr. Yap and Professors Karen and Tom, for the opportunity to showcase the world of insights to the GBC Analytics Club. and talk about the opportunities and challenges ahead as we stand at an important industry crossroads in Canada and abroad. We've seen repeatedly the value of insights only growing in the past 5 years. Now we're valued at about just under 90 billion US dollars globally. And a lot of this is owed to some really cutting edge technology out there, and all those businesses that have adopted, embraced, reconfigured, and innovated with technology to arrive at research methods that deliver tech-powered solutions to clients in all sectors. This tech-enabled market research sector has now outpaced the global traditional marketing research sector for the first time this year. A lot of it thanks to global players, but the figures are, we are a mature industry. And as we straddle a lot of demographic and consumer shifts from even before the pandemic to now accelerated rates of digitization and other change post the pandemic, we must understand that we're not only an essential service industry, but also a labor-reliant one, which means we depend on human skills, knowledge, and intelligence to deliver our goods and services. We hear and see a lot of news about automation and people losing jobs in and outside our sector, but we're still a low capital intensive industry, which means we don't invest too much capital in technology, machines, or infrastructure if we compare ourselves to our counterparts in the data science and analytics streams of industry. So we fall in the category of the traditional services economy, even as we brace for the knowledge age and welcome workers with niche skills. But that is still an underutilized opportunity, and we have a lot of work to do ahead, even as we've experienced nominal but noticeable and steady growth in the past 2 years in Canada. And you can refer to the exact figures in the IBIS World Market Research Report in Canada. We currently experienced a turnover of $823 million Canadian, or US $616 million in the past year. And there has been growth of about 2.3% in the past 5 years, which is certainly lower than in 2010, a decade ago, when we were at about Canadian $924 million a year, or $691 US million. So as industry transforms, data literacy is increasingly becoming a skill that's going to help us unite and bridge the gaps and opportunities between traditional market research and the data science and analytics industry. We need more storytellers, more insights gatherers, and nifty and agile project managers, and people who are able to pull data from all kinds of sources while maintaining data integrity and following high standards. Our data stories need to take a stand in order to make insights more visible and give our essential industry the due importance it deserves and the outlets and publications our clients value. We need to keep pushing forward with mixed methods as we seek to understand why consumers or citizens of societies behave the way we do. While quantitative methods take up most of the spending, currently at about 80% globally, I think, we're also finally seeing the glimmer of a qual resurgence via mixed methods and AI-powered qual that allows us to harness insights at scale quickly. And these are deeper insights. This is where tech again helps us unite the past and future of research, so we move together with capital, coherence, and flow. Audience measurement, passive metering, data text, and predictive analytics are opportunities in sectors like client sectors like media and entertainment, healthcare, consumer durable and non-durables, government, associations and nonprofits like us, are great sectors to build ongoing streams of work and clientele with. And if you want more information or industry resources on how to get ahead, follow all the research associations. I'm a member of multiple industry associations through numerous awards: ESOMAR, QRCA, APOR, Insights Association. And all this really helps my work as chief editor at Canada's Marketing Research and Intelligence Association, or MRIA. You can look at all my handles in the last slide I shared, connect with me on LinkedIn, and connect with others who are connected to me. It's a great time for insights, and we've all had an extremely rough year. But our progress in industry and as an association continues to inspire and build careers for the next generation of research professionals, no matter what they look like or who you are. Thanks again, and I look forward to connecting with you very soon.